Okay. There we are. Now you should be able to hear me. Should be coming in pretty good. Check, check. Let me get a little test on the mic. Better? You can hear me? Okay, great. All right, welcome everybody. Welcome to Tauzy Presents, Chapter 6 of the DMG. We're going to be talking about cosmology. While I'm doing this trick of the trade, if you have any questions, please send them in and I will answer them. Fantastic. What up, Jeremy? Okay. Okay. All right. This is already looking like it's going to be one of my favorite, if not my favorite chapter in the DMG. The differences here between this and the 2014, I really need to go look at because, well, I could look at it right now, but they are significant. They've done a lot of work on this. This is kind of what I wanted in the 2014 book. We didn't have it. This is going to talk a lot about the planes, and this chapter looks small, but it is not. So let's jump into it. Let me make sure my properties here are correct. Doo-doo-doo. There we go. Okay. Boom. Here we are. Chapter 6, Cosmology. Okay, so right off the bat, one of the coolest pictures ever. And it's hitting all the beats. I mean, look at this thing. What up, Ryan? What up, Ryan? Art by Ryan. What up, Ryan? Awesome, awesome. If you have any questions, Ryan, let me know. Post them in there. I'm reading the chat as I'm doing this. All right, so does everyone see the D&D Beyond? I'm having trouble with OBS right now, but I think I just figured it out. I think I figured it out. Okay. Okay, so right off the bat, we have the Lady Pain. You get the pick. Okay, cool. And I can click this, and let's see if that actually shows like a smaller. Yeah, it does. Okay, cool, rad. So right off the bat, we have Lady Pain, and she is looking fierce. One of the cool things about like sigils, this is the Lady Pain of Sigil. The Lady of Pain appears without warning in the bustling streets of Sigil, and the city's residents get out of her way. I do say Sigil, by the way, and not Sigil. Sigil is apparently the canonical way to say it, but I don't care, because Sigil sounds like a frog's burp, and Sigil sounds like you're being cut by razor vine in the aforementioned city. So here's the Lady Pain. She's a badass. She's got her mask. The whole point of Sigil and like her aesthetic is supposed to look like you can get cut at any moment. So her cloak is beautiful, but it's also got razor barbs all over it. It's just badass. And then you've got some, maybe some of the watch over here in the background, also with like razor sharp architecture with circles everywhere because it is a city in the shape of a torus. You got a cool tiefling, you got a dwarf. You got a Modron over here. Also, they're all afraid of the Lady Sigil. You got some type of alien, like a, can't quite tell what that is. Maybe a Slod, scared of Lady Sigil as well. It's badass. So right off the bat, we're in good. I would have spelled it Sigil. Sigil. Yeah. It's Sigil. To me, it's Sigil. But I think I'm in a minority. Okay, let's get into this. The worlds of D&D are a part of an immense cosmos. Also, like I'm gonna take my time with this one. For some reason I felt like in other tricks of the trade, like I need to finish the chapter. This one's gonna take a bit. There's a lot of lore here, so I'm not gonna rush an hour just to finish this because that'll be a pain. I don't want to skip most of this. This is some good stuff. Sigil sounds cool, like a secret sign, a central secret rune at the heart of things. Yeah, people say like sigil. Well, it can't be sigil because that's already a word for something else. It's already a word for like a glyph or a thing that protects something, or like an image of a protection or of closing. I'm like, well, it's the city of doors. It makes perfect sense for it to be called sigil. The planes of existence are strange and often dangerous environments undreamed of in the natural world. Adventurers can stroll along streets of fire, test their mettle on battlefields where the fallen are resurrected with each dawn, and behold the terrifying majesty of the Lady of Pain as she floats above the streets of the ring-shaped city at the center of the multiverse. Badass. Badass. Okay, the planes. The planes of existence are realms of myth and mystery. They're not simply other worlds, but dimensions formed and governed by spiritual and elemental principles. They fall into the following categories. Material realms. Most D&D worlds are located on the material plane, which has two planar echoes, the Feywild and the Shadowfell. Very important, yeah, like, I like how they call them echoes, that's very cool. They're very closely tied to the material realm. The closest ones are the Feywild and the Shadowfell. Feywild is also called the First World, or the World of the Fey, just called the Fey. And then the Shadowfell is like the Land of Death. It is something of a transitive plane, but not technically a transitive plane. It is a place where souls often go on their way towards like the Boneyard, or whatever they call it in D&D cosmology. Transitive planes. The ethereal and astral planes are boundless realms that provide passage between other planes of existence. Yes, they are. Ethereal, the difference between those, we'll get to those later, but they are different. Ethereal feels like the true transitive plane. It feels more like an echo of the material plane. And then the astral plane is the plane of thought. It is the plane of, it is the plane where gods go to be formed or go to die. The inner planes, the four elemental planes, air, earth, fire, water, plus the para-elemental planes between them are the inner planes. Para-elemental means like when you mix them up, when you mix them together, some mixology. Like you got the Frostfell is the mix of air and water. You get the Frostfell. Outer planes. 17 outer planes correspond to the 9 alignments and shades of philosophical difference between them. Yes, indeed. Positive and negative planes. These two planes enfold the rest of the cosmology, providing the raw forces of life and death that underlie all existence in the multiverse. I think these get the least amount of play, mostly because like the Shadowfell and the Feywild kind of hit the positive and negative plane deal, but they have more flavor to them. So I think positive and negative planes just kind of get justifiably like they're not as played much. Is there a functional difference between the ethereal and the border ethereal? I never really caught the distinction, I guess. So with that distinction, they're probably referencing like the deep ethereal, or the deep astral, and the border ethereal. Border ethereal, I think border ethereal is what we deal with typically when we ethereal jaunt. That's a place where you can see the material plane, but other people in the material plane can't see you. You just can't affect them and they can't affect you, but you can still see into the material plane. The real ethereal plane, though, I don't think, I could be totally wrong here, I don't think you can actually see the material plane anymore. You're going into it. You're pretty deep at that point. Or it could just be a semantic thing. The Great Wheel. The default D&D cosmology includes more than 24 planes detailed in this chapter. The most common understanding of these planes visualizes them as a group of concentric wheels, with the material realms at the center. The inner planes form a wheel around the material plane, enveloped in the ethereal plane. Then the outer planes form another wheel around that, and behind, up or above and below, that one, arranged according to alignment, with the outlands linking them all. Since the primary way of traveling from plane to plane is through magical portals, the spatial relationship between different planes is largely theoretical. No being in the multiverse can look down and see the planes arranged like a diagram in a book. No mortal can verify whether Mount Celestia is sandwiched between Bitopia and Arcadia. Rather, this theoretical positioning is based on the philosophical shading among the three planes and the relative importance they give to law and good. Other configurations. For your campaign, you can use a different model of the planes. You can use any model that you want. This is all fanciful, fictional, fun. So you do you. There's going to be a lot of information here that you as a DM or you as just a happy reader can feel free to change in your mind. Here are several examples. Planes situated along the roots and branches of a great cosmic tree, literally or figuratively. They will talk about Yggdrasil later on. Material realms suspended between two other realities, the astral realms, the astral plane and the outer planes, above, and the elemental realms, the inner planes below. A cosmology with fewer planes, a material plane, the transitive planes, a single undifferentiated elemental plane, it's got all of them, where all four elements churn in chaos, uh, which is kind of what Abir Toril was. Toril, or Toril, is the material plane, or the material earth of Forgotten Realms, and then Abir was the one with a bit more elemental chaos where all the elemental lords were. And so those got split up and then smashed together and then split up again multiple times. So when you hear Abir Toril, you're talking about two Earths in Forgotten Realms that were split. In an overheaven where good deities are celestial and celestials dwell, and an underworld where the evil deities and fiends reside. Yeah, cool. Simplify. Planes arranged in a complex system of orbits, where with planes exerting greater influence on the material plane the closer they draw to it. That's kind of cool. Okay, material realms. The material plane is where the philosophical and elemental forces of other planes of existence collide in the jumbled existence of mortal life and matter. It is a thoroughly magical place, reflected in the two planes that share its central place in the universe. The Feywild and Shadowfell are parallel dimensions occupying the same cosmological space as the material plane. The landscapes of these three planes are similar, but those of the Feywild are more marvelous and whimsical, while those of the Shadowfell are more bleak and ominous. Passage between the material plane and these other realms is sometimes effortless, even accidental. Adventurers might enter a grove of trees on the material plane and suddenly find themselves in a lush, colorful forest of the Feywild, or a grim wood of dead trees on the Shadowfell. Yeah, and I would suggest doing that. Make it flimsy, make it cool. It's fun that way. Inner planes. The inner planes surround the material plane and its echoes, providing the raw elemental substance from which all worlds were made. The four elemental planes, air, earth, fire, and water, form a ring around the material plane. The border regions between these planes are sometimes described as distinct planes in their own right, the para-elemental planes. These realms exemplify the physical essence and elemental nature of air, earth, fire, and water. The entire substance of the elemental plane of fire, for example, is suffused with the fundamental nature of fire, energy, passion, transformation, and destruction. Even objects of solid brass or basalt seem to dance with flame in a manifestation of the vibrancy of fire's dominion. At the innermost edges, where they are conceptually closest to material plane, the four elemental planes and the four para-elemental planes resemble places on the material plane. So this is like, yeah, so when they get close to the material plane, yeah. The four elements mingle together as they do on the material plane, forming land, sea, and sky. But the dominant element strongly influences the environment, altering those locations' fundamental qualities. The inhabitants of this inner ring include Aarakocra, Azers, dragon turtles. Let me name the places as well. Aarakocra for wind, Azers for fire, dragon turtles for water, gargoyles for earth, genies for air, lizard folk for water, methods for all of them, salamanders for fire, and Zorn for earth. Yeah. Some originate in the material plane and all can travel to the material plane if they have access to the magic required and survive there. As the elemental planes extend farther from the material plane, they become increasingly unstable and hostile. In the outer regions, the elements exist in their purest form, great expanses of solid earth, blazing fire, crystal clear water, and unsullied air. Any foreign substance is extremely rare. Little air can be found in the outer reaches of the plane of earth, and earth is all but impossible to find in the outer reaches of the plane of fire. These areas are much less hospitable to travelers in the material plane than the border regions are. Such regions are little known, so no one mentions the plane of fire, for example, usually means the border region. Yes, it's also where you can have more adventure, because you can survive it. The outer regions are the domains of creatures formed in pure elements, including air, earth, fire, and water elementals. These are also domains of the elemental princes of evil, primordial beings of pure elemental fury. At the outermost extents of the elemental planes, the pure elements dissolve and bleed together into an unending tumult of clashing energies and colliding substance called the elemental chaos. Elementals can be found here as well, but they usually don't stay long, preferring the comfort of their native planes. If the inner planes are the raw matter and energy that make up the multiverse, the outer planes provide the direction, thought, and purpose for its construction. Oh, that's a good sentence. These are realms of spirituality and thought, the spheres where celestials, fiends, and deities dwell. The plane of Elysium, for example, isn't merely a home for good creatures or where spirits of good creatures go when they die. It is the embodiment of goodness, a spiritual realm where evil can't abide. It is as much a state of being and of mind as it is a physical location. When discussing anything to do with deities and their realms, the language used must be highly metaphorical. Their actual homes aren't literally places at all, but exemplify the idea that the outer planes are realms of thought and spirit. The planes with an element of good in their nature are called the upper planes, while those with an element of evil are called the lower planes. Plane's alignment, as in the outer planes, is its essence, and a creature whose alignment doesn't match the plane's alignment experiences a sense of dissonance there. When a good creature visits Elysium, for example, it feels in tune with the plane, but an evil creature feels uncomfortable. That's cool. All right, so here you have all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Did I write that? Did I do that right? And they say, like, whatever. It's a lot of them. Some of the elements do duplicate. We got Abyss, Archeron, Arborea, Arcadia, Beastlands, Bitopia, Carcerai, Elysium, Gehenna, Hades, Limbo, Mechanus, Mount Celestia, Nine Hells, Outlands, Pandemonium, and Yeastguard. On the tour of the multiverse, they're going to go over all these. And I will go over all of them, because I think they're rad. Oh my god, look at this picture! Oh my god, look at this picture. Okay, the upper planes are the home of celestials. The lower planes are home of the fiends. The planes in between host their unique denizens. For example, Modrons are constructs that inhabit Mechanus, and Sladai are aberrations that thrive in limbo. As with the elemental planes, one can imagine the perceptible part of the outer planes as a border region, while extensive spiritual regions lie beyond ordinary sensory experience. Even in perceptible regions, appearances can be deceptive. Initially, an outer plane might appear hospitable and familiar to the natives of the material plane, but the landscape can change at a whim of deity or other powerful forces that dwell in the plane, which can remake the realm completely, erasing and rebuilding existence to better fulfill those forces' needs. Very cool. Very cool. So things are more malleable, right? On the outer planes. Pretty much anywhere but the material plane. We do a lot more changing, a lot more morphing things. It's a big thing in Planescape. There's a lot of like planes that change because of the choices you make. Distance is a virtually meaningless concept on the outer planes. A perceptible region of a plane might seem quite small on one visit, or on another trip it can stretch onto what seems like infinity. Adventurers can take a guided tour of the Nine Hells from the first layer to the ninth in a single day, if the powers of the Nine Hells desire it. Or it could take weeks for a traveler to make a grueling trek across a single layer. Being new to this is all new, but I'm sure for a vet this stuff is exciting since it's a change. Yeah. Yeah, man. Get ready for the nerd stuff. So, we have another badass picture. Okay, so let's go over this. I feel like this picture is just better. Yeah. Can I do a zoom? I can do a zoom. Yeah. There we go. Is that zoom better? I feel like that's better. So we have... Oh, no description. We got the inner planes with the material plane and the Feywild and the Shadowfell looking like coins, which is kind of rad, on top of each other. And then a ring around them with the plane of water, the plane of air, the plane of fire, and the plane of earth. And so you have the plane of ice between water and air, the Frostfell, there it is. Plane of ooze between water and earth. Plane of magma, and the plane of ash. Oh, it's so cool. Oh, that's really rad. So some of those are different. I've never heard of those. Those paralemental planes have different names. That's kind of rad. And then you have the ethereal, elemental chaos, which is like on the outer edge of that, and then the ethereal plane, which feels far. The ethereal plane feels far away, but that's okay. And then the astral plane is even farther, which feels right. The astral plane feels right. It should be far. It was not this detailed before. Definitely not this detailed. No. They do like a brief overview, but they don't go into this kind of detail. Which I'm very happy with. Ooh. Okay, so here are the Outlands. If you have the books for Sigil and the Outlands, They go into a lot of detail. They're not going to go into detail for the Outlands, but you have all the these are like the Torch and Ribcage and Rigius, Cursed, Plague Mort. Those are all the towns at the edge of the Outlands, those towns can, depending on what's happening in that city or that town on the Outlands, depending on what's happening alignment-wise, that town can move into one of these outer planes. So you got Mount Celestia, Bitopia, Elysium, Beastlands, Arborea, Ysgard, Limbo, Pandemonium, Abyss. I love just a little bit of difference they're showing you with all these planes. I love Bitopia. Looks like it's actually two planes on top of each other. That's very rad. The Abyss looks like a frickin' abyss. Gehenna looks like someone took a bite out of it. Although I do like there's one picture of the Nine Hells and the Abyss. The Nine Hells is just like Dante's Inferno. It's just like a triangle down to the last plane, and then the Abyss is just all around it. The Abyss feels like this infinite thing, and the Nine Hells is this ordered, relatively smaller thing. But this is also very rad. Archeron. God, I don't do enough stuff on Archeron. Look at this. It's just a giant freaking cube. I mean, it's a giant cube. This is Hellraiser. It's got to be. It's got to be inspired by that. Okay. Actually, does this work? Yeah, this does work. Let me just keep that zoom going. Okay. I feel like that's better, right? It's got to be better. Layers of the outer planes. Most outer planes include a number of distinct realms. These environments are often imagined as a stack of related parts of the same plane, so travelers refer to them as layers. For example, Mount Celestia resembles a sacred mountain with 7 great plateaus along its ascent. The Nine Hells is like a pit where River Styx plunges down through 9 tiers, and the Abyss is a seemingly endless number of layers. Like the planes themselves, the description of layers is highly metaphorical and subject to varying interpretations. The plane of Carcerai, for example. Carcerai is one of my favorites. It's this one up here. With it looks like windswept dunes. But this is the prison plane. Has been described as a long series of spherical worlds, like a ring of worlds that get smaller and smaller as they go, arranged like beads on a string, with each sphere consisting of 6 nested spheres, the layers of the plane. This fanciful description is but one attempt to make sense of the distorted geography of a place that isn't even a place in the ordinary sense of the word, but an altered state of reality. Most portals from elsewhere reach the first layer of the multi-layered plane. This layer is depicted as the top or bottom layer, depending on the plane. As the arrival point for most visitors, the first layer functions like an antechamber for that plane. Very rad. Very, very rad. Zoom is better. Is that too much zoom or too little zoom? Let me know in the chat. Alignment in the outer planes. The outer planes are realms of thought and morality more than a merely physical reality. Looks good right now? Okay. And they can affect visitors on a deeply personal level as well as a physical one. At your discretion, everything's at your discretion. A creature that spends a long time in the outer plane that is not in its home plane can begin to take on aspects of the plane's ethos. Visitors to the upper planes might feel strange urges to perform deeds of kindness or compassion, while visitors to the lower planes might find themselves drawn to acts of cruelty or betrayal. Those who spend time on Mechanus and the other lawful planes might feel their ties of loyalty to each other growing stronger, while those who visit Limbo and other chaotic planes might become temporarily more independent or self-absorbed. These tendencies are best handled as DM suggestions and then roleplayed by the players, but you might reward heroic inspiration to characters who bring these characteristics to life in their characters. So, for example, on Carcerai is a prison plane. It's a plane of, but it's a plane of also like your own prison in your own mind, right? The prison of your own mind. So, it's also a place of paranoia and feeling claustrophobic, a plane of claustrophobia in your own prison. So if you're there for too long, depending on how many rests you take, you might start to get basically like a building stacking debuff of paranoia, or um, uh, or insecurity, or something like that, where you have minuses to how you're healing your other compatriots. Your help actions might just fail. They have a percent chance of failing, or you get like agoraphobic. Um, uh, so, or you get claustrophobic, to where you can't be around. You can't physically be too close to your other physically close to your other companions in your team, or you have to be too close to them because you need them for safety. Um, the outer planes can do this to a person. I think it's really rad. Let's see. Planar dissonance. Celestials who visit the lower planes and fiends who visit the upper planes experience significant discomfort in the visits lasting more than a few hours. After finishing a long rest on a plane that is alien to its nature, a celestial fiend makes a DC 10 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, whenever the creature makes a D20 test, the creature must subtract 1d4 from the roll. So it's just like permanent bane. Nice. Oh, the effect is cumulative with each failed save and ends when the creature finishes a long rest on a plane that isn't opposed to its nature. That just gets worse and worse, exponentially bad. Ooh, rough. Planar travel. Cool. Here we go. A portal is a stationary interplanar connection that links a specific location on one plane of existence to a specific location or another. Some portals function like doorways, appearing as a clear window or a fog-shrouded passage. And interplanar travel is as simple as moving through the portal. Other portals are locations, circles of standing stones, soaring towers, sailing ships, or even whole towns that exist on multiple planes at once or flicker from one plane to another. Some are vortices, joining an elemental plane with a very similar location on the material plane, such as a swirling pool of magma in the heat of a volcano, leading to the plane of fire. Or a maelstrom in the depths of the ocean, leading to the plane of water. Yeah. Thematically appropriate portals. Passing through a planar portal can be the simplest way to travel from the material plane to a desired location on another plane, often though a portal represents an adventure in and itself. First, the adventurers must find a portal that leads to where they want to go. Most portals exist in distant locations, and a portal's location often has thematic similarities to the plane it leads to. For example, a portal to Mount Celestia might be located on a mountain peak. Second, portals often have guardians charged with ensuring that certain creatures don't pass through. A portal's guardians typically are powerful magical creatures, such as a genie, a sphinx, a titan, or an inhabitant of the portal's destination plane. Finally, most portals aren't open at all time, but open in particular situations or when a certain requirement is met. So Sigil has a lot of these, a lot of doors in the City of Doors, where you need a specific key. The key can be like, it could be anything. It could be a passcode, it could be an actual key, it could be an action, it could be a creature, it could be a thought, it could be an emotion that you have to hold on to. It could be a number of different things. Command. The portal functions only if a particular command is given. A command is usually a word that can be evoked in any language. Sometimes a command must be given to a character passes through the portal, which is otherwise a mundane doorway, window, or similar opening. Other portals open when the command is given within 15 feet of themselves, and they remain open for 1d12 minutes. Nice. I like just a smattering of mechanics. It's nice. The portal functions if traveler carries a particular object. This is a key item. The item acts much like a key to a door. This item can be a common object or a particular one created for the portal. The City of Sigil above the Outlands is known as the City of Doors. There we go. Because it features an overwhelming number of such item-keyed portals. The portal functions for a random period, then shuts down for a similarly random duration. Typically, such a portal allows 1d6 plus 6 travelers to pass through, then closes for 1d6 days. Cool. Just random portal. Situational portal. This portal functions only if particular condition is met. A situation keyed portal might open on a clear night, when it rains, or when a certain spell is cast in its vicinity. Yeah, now we're getting weird. Timed portal. The portal functions only at a particular times material plane during a full moon, during the spring equinox, or winter solstice, or when the stars are in certain positions. Once it opens, such a portal remains open for a limited time, such as for 3 days during the full moon, or 1 hour, or for 10 minutes. Cool. Cool. Let's see. Number spells allow direct or indirect access to different planes of existence. Gate and plane shift can directly transport adventurers to any other plane, with different degrees of precision. Etherealness allows adventurers to enter the ethereal plane, and astral projection lets adventurers project themselves into the astral plane and from there travel to the outer planes. Oh boy. Okay. Traveling the outer planes. Described in the section that follow are 4 planar features that connect multiple outer planes. The infinite staircase, the river Oceanus, the river Styx, and Yggdrasil, the world tree. Other planar crossings might exist in your campaign. Whenever you swing a cat. It's a good key. It's a good key. The infinite staircase is an extra-dimensional staircase that connects the planes. An entrance to the infinite staircase usually appears as a nondescript door. Beyond the portal lies a small landing with a stairway leading up and down. The infinite staircase changes appearance as it climbs and descends, going from simple stairs of wood or stone to a chaotic jumble of stairs hanging in radiant space, where no 2 steps share the same gravitational orientation. Oh, God. It includes ramps, hovering platforms, and clockwork conveyor belts along its endless construction. The adventure anthology Quest from the Infinite Staircase provides more details about this planar pathway. I gotta get that. I really need to get that. Staircase is home to Naphas, a noble genie created by the planar winds that blow into the expanse through its myriad doors. A distant, benevolent observer, Naphas hears wishes spoken through the multiverse, wishes he fulfills with the help of adventurers who happen upon his Aeolian palace. Aeolian. Boy, that's a fun word. Doors to the infinite staircase are often tucked away in dusty, half-forgotten places that no one frequents or pays any attention to. On any given plane, multiple doors might lead to the infinite staircase, though entrances aren't common knowledge and are occasionally guarded by divas, sphinxes, yugoloths, and other powerful monsters. So that's the infinite staircase. I need to read more about that. I've seen a lot of it, but I need to read more on it. River Oceanus. The water of the Oceanus is sweet and fragrant, as befits its headwaters in the blessed fields of Elysium. This plane-spanning waterway provides a path through some of the upper planes. It flows through each of Elysium's layers, passes through the top layer of the Beastlands, streams across the top layer of Arborea, and finally drains somewhere else in Arborea's second layer. Though it isn't as far-reaching as the Styx, the Oceanus is still a commonly used pass between planes and layers. Traveling vessels sail up and down its length, and small towns line its banks. Travelers can usually find a boat to hire somewhere along its shores. The river Styx. The river Styx bubbles with grease, foul flotsam, and other putrid remains of battles along its banks. The ill effects of the Styx are described under hazards in Chapter 3. I think those hazards are pretty cool. I've used those a couple times now. The Styx churns through the top layers of Archeron, the 9 hells, Gehenna, Hades, Carcerai, the Abyss, and Pandemonium. Tributaries of the Styx snake through lower layers of these planes. For example, a tendril of the Styx winds through every layer of the 9 hells, allowing passage from one layer of that plane to the next. Sinister ferries float on the waters of Styx, crewed by pilots skilled in negotiating the unpredictable currents and eddies of the river. For a price, these pilots can carry passengers from plane to plane. Some pilots are fiends, while others are the souls of dead creatures from the material plane. Yeah. Yggdrasil. This is the one I know the least about. Yggdrasil, the world tree. The world tree Yggdrasil is a cosmic ash tree that spans the outer planes and links them to many worlds of the material plane. Its roots stretch from the lower planes, touching Hades, Pandemonium, and possibly other lower planes. Most of its massive trunk rises through the plane of Ysgard, and its branches stretch through the upper planes and across the astral to the material plane. Some legends describe a great tree, a seedling of Yggdrasil, and that the god Corellon planted and tended on the first world at the dawn of time. So the first world again is the Fae, and Corellon is the god of elves, Corellon the Lerethian. When the first world was destroyed, seeds from this tree scattered into the void and took root to form the worlds of the material plane. Thus many philosophers and naturalists view all trees, or even all plants, as descendants of Yggdrasil, part of a vast network of plant life across the multiverse. Planar travelers can climb along the roots and branches of Yggdrasil to travel from plane to plane or world to world. Some creatures position themselves as expert guides to this vast cosmic network of branching pathways, constantly studying the ever-changing paths as the tree continues its eternal growth. Alright, let's take a look at this picture. Awesome. So this portal, so this branch of Yggdrasil, first of all, it's got some squirrels, naturally, hanging out. It's got an extending branch that is lit by some far-off sun, which lights a gem portal, a portal that looks like a cut emerald gem, that is squished in between some branches of the tree, or gently held by some branches of the tree there. The outer, the sky box looks like concentric rings of clouds. Just cloud stuff on a bluish green pink sky. It's great. It's beautiful. And then our adventurer types looks like we got 2 gnomes, because they're itty bitty. They're definitely gnomes. And then we have what looks like a Goliath, probably, with an elf or a human. Some type of Goliath barbarian. Some gnomish wizards or spellcasters. Druid spellcaster. And then a human fighter or some type. Or a roguish type. Very cool. I love it. I love when they do like adventures and you don't see their face. Because they obviously want, like, they're there, but the importance is what we're looking at, which is the branches of Yggdrasil. A portal to the Beastlands opens amid the branches of the World Tree. Planar adventuring! In real-world myths, legends, and literature, venturing into the other planes of existence isn't simply a matter of visiting an unusual environment inhabited by strange creatures. It's a journey with meaning expressed through layers of symbol and metaphor. Adventuring on the planes of D&D cosmology is an opportunity to craft similar meaningful and profound journeys. Planar adventures ought to be extraordinary. As adventurers reach the medium to high levels of your campaign, they find more cause to venture beyond the confines of the world they call home and explore the planes. If you are ready for the party to undertake a truly mythic quest, such as to find a lost artifact or an elusive extraplanar entity, the vast multiverse is yours to explore. As their physical and magical abilities are put to the test, the characters might find their emotions, values, and spirits challenged as well. The Blood War. The Blood War. Ratatosk, the giant squirrel, ran up and down the tree, yeah? Yeah. I think they're just squirrels. Yeah, they're just squirrels. Oh, there's another one up there. Boop. Oh, there's more. Oh, there's so many. They're everywhere. Throughout history, the teeming demon hordes of the Abyss and the regimented legions of devils from the Nine Hells have battled for supremacy in the cosmos. On worlds of the material plane, those who know of the conflict refer to it as a blood war, a conflict that has raged for millennia, ravaging the lower planes. The battlefields of the blood war are concentrated in the Nine Hells and the Abyss, though fighting also takes place on the material plane, on the planes between those realms on the Great Wheel, and anywhere else demons and devils congregate. Although the intensity of conflict waxes and wanes, and the front lines of the war can shift drastically, a moment never goes by when demons and devils aren't battling each other somewhere in the multiverse. Many demons and devils are obsessed with finding some advantages for their side in the blood war, and powerful mortal adventurers are sometimes drawn die spider into the tangled schemes to that end. Additionally, open conflict between fiends is a constant threat on most of the lower planes, even when it's incidental to the missions that bring characters to those planes. A simple quest to find treasure lost in Hades becomes much less simple when that treasure is located in the midst of a raging battle. Natives of the upper planes have also have roles to play in the blood war. While most of them are content to watch evil feed on itself, they still take steps to minimize the threats to the rest of the multiverse. Whenever the blood war spills into a location outside the Abyss and the Nine Hells, angels and other emissaries of the gods, including mortals of exceptional valor, stand ready to intervene. Oh, a big chart! Oh, a big chart! Oh, a big chart! Do I have a... How did I do this before? Did I open up Roll20? What did I do? Or did I roll? What did I do? Oh, yeah, I have dice. This is a D10. Here we go. 6. These are Planar adventure situations. An ancestor of one of the characters must be convinced to bless the character before the full power of the character's bloodline can be unleashed. Oh, that's cool. That's really rad. 3. A long-dead oracle is the only one who knows how a terrible prophecy might be averted, but the cataclysmic fulfillment of the prophecy has already begun. Oh no. Let's do one more. 8. A titan is imprisoned on an outer plane. The characters might be trying to stop those who seek to release it, or they might want to release it to help defend the world from a greater threat. Very cool. Very rad. Each plane in the multiverse is described below. The planes are presented in alphabetical order. Alright, do I want to start this? Because we're going to do... This might be part 2, or I just knock out all these planes. I mean, this is a good start. Let's start. We'll do a little bit, and then we'll stop. The Abyss. The Abyss. The Abyss embodies all that is perverse, gruesome, and chaotic. Its virtually endless layers spiral downward into ever more appalling forms. Each layer of the Abyss boasts a horrific environment. Oh, so we tag here. Oh, they give you examples. Oh, that's so cool. Okay. Each layer also reflects the entropic nature of the Abyss. Much the plane seems to be decaying, crumbling, or corroded state, and its corruption affects visitors. See Curses and Magical Contagions in Chapter 3. The layers of the Abyss are numbered based on the sequence of their discovery and cataloged by explorers from Sigil. Thus, the plane of infinite portals is identified as the first layer. Azagrat encompasses the 45th, 46th, and 47th layers. The Demon Web is the 66th layer, and so on. The layers of the Abyss table represent several infamous layers. Detailed descriptions of these layers follow the table. The plane of infinite portals. On layer 1, corroded iron fortresses defend routes to lower layers. Azagrat. Gratzit's corrupt. The decadent city is split across layers 45, 46, and 47. Gratzitz is a demon lord who's all about, like, seduction. The Demon Web, on layer 66, Lolth's web snares all and hides portals to other planes. Very cool. Gaping Maw. Oh, they give you... they're talking about him. Okay. Now we're getting real specific. We're going into, like, layers, guys. Layers of the Abyss. Layer 1. This layer is the miserable gateway to the infinite layers of the Abyss. Under a glaring red sun, the rocky ground contains gaping craters that are portals to other layers of the Abyss. Other portals lead to Pandemonium, Sigil, the gate town of Plague Mort in the Outlands, and the Astral Plane, making this layer the very best to escape the horrors of the Abyss. Iron fortresses dot the landscape, homes to petty lords and upstate demons that are as changeable as the Abyss itself. The portal leading to Plague Mort is tucked within a fortress called the Broken Reach, ruled by a succubus named Red Shroud. In the Broken Reach, those who can prove the strength in metal can stay unharmed for a few days at least. Layers 45 through 47, Azagrat. The demon lord Grazitz embodies manipulation and cruelty, tempting mortals with the promise of appalling delights and decadent luxuries. He rules over the realm of Azagrat, which is just like his name but thrown around a bit, which encompasses 3 interconnected layers of the Abyss. His seat of power is a fantastic Argent Palace in the city of Zalatar, whose bustling markets and pleasure palaces draw visitors from across the multiverse in search of obscure magical lore and perverse delights. By Grassitz's command, the demons of Azagrat present a veneer of civility and courtly comity. However, the so-called Triple Realm holds as much danger as any part of the Abyss, and planar visitors can vanish without a trace in its maze-like cities, in a forest whose trees have serpents for branches. Oh, wonderful. They have serpents for branches, guys. The trees have snake branches. Speaking of, like, this kind of realm, I highly recommend, if you're into this kind of thing, and I'm probably gonna do a playthrough of it. I'm probably gonna stream a playthrough of it, of Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous, because you go into the lower planes and you deal with this kind of stuff. Of course, it's Pathfinder cosmology, but it's very similar. I mean, it's some of the same stuff. So I think I will stream Wrath of the Righteous. It's such a good game. Demon Web. Layer 66. Oh, the Gaping Maw. Layer 66. Lolth is a demon queen of spiders whose schemes entangle entire civilizations and worlds across the multiverse. Of all demon lords, she might have the most active interest in the worlds of the material plane. And the cultists who do her bidding on those worlds, but her interest lies only in domination. Lolth's layer is an immense network of thick, magical webbing that forms passageways and cocoon-like chambers. Structures, ships, and other objects are caught in the webbing. The webs contain random portals that snare objects from demiplanes and material plane worlds that figure into the schemes of the Spider Queen. Lolth's servants also build dungeons amid the webbing, trapping and hunting Lolth's hated enemies within crisscrossing corridors of web-mortared stone. Far beneath these dungeons lie the bottomless demon web pits where the Spider Queen dwells with her most loyal servants, Yuck-Yall demons, created to serve her that outrank mightier demons while in the Spider Queen's realm. Oh, the Yuck-Yall. Layer 88, the Gaping Maw, the sibilant beast, and the self-styled Prince of Demons, Demogorgon, yearns for nothing less than undoing the order of the multiverse. A two-headed monster who seems as much in conflict with himself as other beings, the Prince of Demons inspires fear and hatred among other demons and demon lords. Demogorgon's lair is a vast wilderness of brutality and horror known as the Gaping Maw, where even powerful demons are overcome by fear. Reflecting Demogorgon's dual nature, the Gaping Maw consists of a massive primeval continent covered in dense jungle, surrounded by a seemingly endless expanse of ocean and brine flats. The Prince of Demons rules his lair from two serpentine towers, which emerge from a turbid sea, each tower's topped with an enormous fanged skull. The spires constitute the fortress of Abyssum, where echoes of Demogorgon's turbulent thoughts resound through the halls, tearing at the minds of creatures who dare to enter. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Well, let's finish the Abyss, because I'm digging this, and then we'll stop for tonight. Layer 113, Thanatos, known as the Demon Prince of Undeath and the Blood Lord. The Demon Lord Orcus is worshipped by undead and by living creatures that channel the power of undeath. A brooding and nihilistic entity, Orcus yearns to make the multiverse a place of death and despair, forever unchanging except by his will, and to turn all creatures into undead under his control. Orcus's realm of Thanatos is a land of bleak mountains, barren moors, ruined cities, and forests of twisted black trees under a black sky. Tombs, mausoleums, gravestones, and sarcophagi litter the landscape. Undead swarm across the plain, bursting from their tombs and graves to tear apart any creature foolish enough to journey here. Orcus rules Thanatos from a vast palace known as the Everlost, crafted of obsidian and bone. Set in a howling wasteland called Oblivion's End, the palace is surrounded by tombs and graves dug into the sheer slopes of narrow valleys, creating a tiered necropolis. Rad. Layer 222. Layer 222. I wonder why. Some of the numbers, there's got to be like jokes associated with them. The Slime Pits, also known as Shedakla. Shedakla. This layer is ruled by two separate yet equally repugnant demon lords, Juiblex and Zuktmoy, who coexist with little conflict. I love these two demon lords. I use them all the time. Juiblex, the demon lord of slimes and oozes, is an amorphous mass that lurks in the abyssal depths. The wretched faceless lord cares nothing for cultists or mortal servants, and sole desires eternal creatures into formless copies of its horrid self. Zuktmoy is the demon queen of fungi and the lady of rot and decay. Her primary desire is to infect the living with spores, transforming them into her servants and eventually into decomposing hosts for the mushrooms, molds, and other fungi that she spawns. As the name suggests, the Slime Pits is a bubbling morass of fetid sludge. The landscape is covered in vast expanses of caustic slimes, and the strange organic forms rise from the oceans of ooze at Jublex's command. Zuktmoy's palace consists of 24 immense mushrooms, among the largest in existence, hollowed into grand chambers and twisting corridors. The palace is surrounded by a field of acidic puffballs and poisonous vapors. If you've ever played Temple of Elemental Evil, the boss at the end of Temple of Elemental Evil is Zuktmoy, or at least an avatar of Zuktmoy. The game isn't finished. I mean, it's done, like it's out there. It's in the, like you can buy it, you can play it. But that game, I think they ran out of time on that one, so they released kind of an unfinished game there. Still great. Still a great game. Layer 422, the Death Dells. The demon lord Yinogu hungers for slaughter and senseless destruction. Gnolls are his instruments of the material plane. He drives them to ever greater atrocities in his name. Delighting in sorrow and hopelessness, the Gnoll Lord yearns to turn the cosmos into a wasteland in which the last surviving Gnolls tear one another apart for the right to feast upon the dead. Yinogu rules the layers of ravines and badlands known as the Death Dells. Here creatures must hunt to survive. Even plants try to snare the unwary to bathe in their roots in the blood. Yinogu's servants, helping to sate their master's hunger as he prowls his kingdom, capture creatures from the material plane for release in the Gnoll Lord's realm. And last but not least, we have Layer 600, the Endless Maze. The demon lord Baphomet, also known as the Horned King and the Prince of Beasts, embodies bestial bloodlust. If he had his way, civilization would crumble and all mortals would embrace their predatory instincts. Baphomet's lair is a never-ending dungeon with the Horned King's enormous palace at its center. A confusing jumble of crooked hallways and myriad chambers, the palace is surrounded by a mile-wide moat concealing a confounding series of submerged stairs and tunnels leading deeper into the fortress. The Endless Maze, or the idea behind this with Baphomet, is also in Pathfinder Kingmaker. Or no, Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous. And it's a great dungeon. Really terrifying. Terrifying stuff. Oh my god! Well, let's finish this one. Abyss Adventures. The Abyss embodies the loathsome corruption of chaos and evil. A descent into the Abyss is a journey into a hostile and uncharted environment. It's also an opportunity to confront the evil in one's own heart and resist the temptation to turn against allies in order to survive. Heroic characters might make a desperate last stand against endless hordes of demons here, or they may try to avoid detection while seeking a holy relic left behind by some lost hero who dared to venture here. It's the nature of the Abyss to contaminate the other planes it touches. Opening a portal to the Abyss from any other plane allows the Abyss to create tiny pockets of abyssal evil that can eventually become so corrupted that they're drawn into the Abyss. Thus, adventurers exploring a desecrated temple or a fetid swamp in this material plane can unexpectedly find themselves in a demon-infested environment, very much like the Abyss without ever leaving their home plane. Rad. The detritus of the planes is tangled in the demon web pits. Look at this. What's better when I click it? I think it's a little bit better. So we've got a Drider here, covered in spiders. We've got a Drider covered in spiders. You don't normally see that. And that is cool. And then you have the foreground, which is also covered in spiders. And then you have just a castle, bits of a castle, with bits of a town, and an airship, or just a ship, also caught up in this demon web. Super cool. Well, that's it, everybody. We will stop right here. We're going to continue reading about all the other planes. Any of this, excites you, put this in your game. Put a portal into your game. Is it too strong for your players? Probably. Maybe. But you can dumb it down. There's challenge rings for every type of monster. There's challenge rings for every type for demons. They're a little bit harder, but you can put some smaller ones if you want to. Yeah. We will stop it right here. And then we'll take it up next time in June when I'll continue going through the chapters of DMG. I'm going to go through the entire DMG, guys. But I'm going to take my time with chapter 6 because there's a lot to get through. Look how many. Oh my god. Yeah, this DMG rocks. I'm a big fan. Cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you next time. Tomorrow, by the way, tomorrow we have PvP. I'm looking for one more player for PvP. If not, I gotta figure something out. If anybody wants to play PvP, it's called Spikeball. Spikeball is happening tomorrow. Come check it out. If you want to play PvP, this one's a little bit different. It's a little bit more fun. It's a beach episode. So come check it out, and I will see you all tomorrow. Peace out, everybody. Have a good one.